Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barreto. In the headlines, the nation's protective services can look forward to settled salary negotiations as the Prime Minister gives the all clear for talks between the Chief Personnel Officer and the Ministry of Finance. And the new expansion of the Digo Highway officially opens with local contractors coming in for high praises. And the National Energy Skills Centre hosts a job fair for graduates to meet potential sector employers. Thank you so much for joining us. Finance and Economy Minister Larry Hawaii says Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissassa has given the go-ahead to commence talks for an increase in wages for members of the protective services following the completion of negotiations for the period 2011 to 2013. This comes after she highlighted the importance of the servicemen and women to the nation's safety. Negotiations for salary increases for the protective services are set to commence, this following the approval of Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissassa. These include the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, TTPS Social and Welfare Association, Prison Officers Association, and the Fire Services Association. Finance Minister Larry Hawaii made the announcement during this week's post-cabinet media briefing, where he noted that it was the aim of the Prime Minister to get it started in the nearest possible time.
The officers of the various protective services, fire services, prisons, and the police services had called on the Prime Minister to intervene to get negotiations going within the shortest possible time. The Prime Minister, recognizing the importance of the role that these various arms of the protective services play, has asked me to communicate with the CPO with respect to getting these negotiations moving as quickly as possible. He explained that in the coming weeks, talks will commence engaging the Chief Personnel Officer. Over the next 2 weeks, develop and communicate a schedule for these negotiations with each of the arms of the protective services and to be in contact with them as soon as possible regarding these dates when these negotiations can start on a phased basis, because you won't be starting the negotiations with all of them at the same time. Each would be a separate negotiation, so it will have to be phasing it in over a period of time, but certainly to communicate the dates for the commencement of these negotiations so that we can move these forward as quickly as possible. The Minister assured that all negotiations will take place with the various representing bodies. With respect to the schedule of negotiations, the CPO hasn't yet advised me of which ones, how she will deal with it in terms of phasing it in. I know she's been looking at the proposals of each of the protective services. She's done her analysis, and she will be putting forward her own counter proposals, which will be the basis on which the discussions will commence. She has not yet advised me as to which one she would phase in first and how she would do it. I'm sure it would be done in some kind of a consultation with the various representative bodies. So at this stage, I'm not in a position to say which ones would start first. The fresh set of talks comes after negotiations for the period of 2011 to 2013 were completed. When we come back, the Diego Highway expansion project is completed. Stay with us. After facing traffic restrictions for months, Digo residents and those traversing the Digo Highway on a daily basis are justifiably overjoyed that the Digo Highway expansion project has been completed and is now open to commuters.
Just a few months ago, this was the Digo Highway at the entrance of Victoria Gardens. News 4 had covered Minister Surdratan Rambachan doing inspection of works done so far by the contractor. Today, residents of Digo and environs are breathing a collective sigh of relief now that they can access their community with much more ease. The Digo Highway expansion project, which commenced last year, was completed on time and within budget, according to the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. On Wednesday afternoon, the Honourable Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissassa opened the highway, which boasts 2 extra lanes northbound at the entrance of the Digo area. 2 residents who spoke at the opening ceremony of the highway expansion project told the Prime Minister and her cabinet that they were very pleased with the expansion, which should make a traffic congestion at Victoria Gardens a thing of the past.
Honourable Ministers of Cabinet, parliamentary representatives. I just want to thank you all for the effort and the putting together and finishing this highway that's been long awaited. The inconvenience you've had to put up with over the years of trying to get in and out of Digo because this was actually the entrance in and out. We hope it'll bring the relief that we're looking for, and we look forward to the further developments as they come along.
We, the people of Digo Martin Central, or I should say in the area of Four Roads, Digo Martin, where I'm from, because I'm just about 3 houses from the steps that you constructed so beautifully. I would like to say on behalf of the residents, we would like to thank you very much for the project that has long been in the hat, but it is finally finished. I'd also like to take another cap as the public relations officer of the Route 1 Maxi Taxi Association. Even though a lot of times we are inconvenienced, I would like to say thank you very much. I would also like to thank the Honorable Minister for listening to the residents in terms of the walkover for the school. And I know our Honorable Prime Minister is always concerned about our children. And to fast forward it so we can have a walkover for the benefit of our children.
For those using the Digo Martin Highway, the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure advises that on 3 lanes, motorists traveling north into Digo Martin will now have 2 choices upon reaching Victoria Gardens. First, motorists wishing to continue onto the Digo Martin main road will need to bear left. Second, those wishing to continue north on the highway to Petty Valley and environs will need to stay in the middle and rightmost lanes. Meanwhile, also speaking at the opening ceremony was Director of Highways Roger Ganesh. He noted that Digo Martin residents were already beginning to feel relief.
Most of you who live in Digo Martin and the surroundings have already started to feel great relief from the traffic congestion that used to be experienced here on a basically daily basis. I'm sure that your confidence in the Highways Division of this ministry for this much needed infrastructure is now renewed and will continue as you proceed with further major highway works already approved by Cabinet. The project, however, started some time ago, 2010, March 2010 to be exact, and was deliberately broken down into 4 components or packages for ease of constructability and also to reduce the negative effects of roadworks and relocation of utilities associated with such works.
Mr. Ganesh also noted that the project was a challenging one for the Highways Division.
This project, we had to relocate over 100 electricity poles, TSCT poles, and numerous infrastructure, national gas lines, water lines, sewer lines, cable TV, other cable TVs I didn't even know about. So a lot of it was a utility nightmare, and a nightmare basically to build within this type of environment, heavily densely populated and also densely developed. It is a challenge.
Felicia Wilson-Mon, News 4.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister praised members of the local construction industry for being able to take the lead on a number of major projects ongoing in the country. The latest completed project being the $82 million Digo Martin Highway Expansion Project at Play Park, Victoria Gardens, Digo Martin. She says it's a strong signal that Trinidad and Tobago can take on complex construction projects which meet international standards.
From the outset, I think it is noteworthy that this project was done by local contractors and engineering consultancy and project management companies. We must take note of that because it is a strong signal that Trinidad and Tobago has continued to work very hard in increasing our capacity for complex construction projects which meet international standards. Another good reason for us to take note of this is because it represents the continued achievement of a long-held vision of taking full local responsibility for our infrastructure.
Responding to critics of her government, she dismissed allegations that opposition constituencies are neglected and discriminated against.
There have been some who have expressed the view that development is taking place only in some sections of our country at the expense of others. And this is where we again prove such claims to be totally wrong. We are working to positively impact upon the commuting experience of our students, adults, provide reliable transport and access networks for businesses, further remove delays and time lost in traffic, and improve road safety. That is our mission, and that is where our focus shall remain. Wherever you are in our country, you are part of our country, and therefore development is to benefit all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
She listed several ongoing infrastructural development projects in PNM constituencies along the east-west corridor, including the Valencia Bypass Road and the widening of the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway at Trin City. She also noted her government had already commenced major development works in Chaguaramas and had recently signed a contract for a $20 million modern fishing facility in Carenage, which forms part of the constituency of the opposition leader. In other news, linking the skilled trained worker with prospect employers. That's how the National Energy Skills Center, the NESC, job fair is being described. The school provided the chance for its graduating students to meet with companies interested in recruiting graduates to their labor force.
With a turnover of more than 1,200 students annually, the NESC is finding avenues in ensuring jobs are provided for their trained and skilled students coming out of various programs targeting the energy sector. And in keeping up this trend, the school hosted its annual jobs fair, which brings major companies to the school to meet and greet students who will later become their employees. As chairman of the NESC, Feroz Khan, puts it, it's about providing the required skilled labor for the job market and meeting their needs.
Total, we should have 862 students projected to graduate out of a campus population of about 1,200, all of whom you would have access to today, and 176 employers interested in these skill areas. But with the support of the companies in Point Lisas, we have already recruited 2 cycles of graduates of the NESC into the Point Lisas industries. And these students are going to spend 2 years in an apprenticeship, rotated among 4 companies.
One of the many companies represented at the fair, PCS Nitrogen's Wayne Chan Chow, who holds the post as maintenance engineering manager at the company, encourages students to continue in their studies while grasping available chances to gain experience.
Use the opportunities that today present to interact with the prospective employers, demonstrate to them your commitment, your willingness to do the difficult and achieve the seemingly impossible. The job market is changing, and the future is yours for the taking.
Highlighting a major point of employment, the minister told the over 173 companies present that Trinidad and Tobago possess the skilled labor their companies needed because of the programs offered under the NESC.
We should not pursue the importation of any labor, especially if we have graduates from our institutions who are seeking job opportunities, many of whom are unknown to these employers. It is not that we are against the importation of labor, not at all. Wherever we don't have such requisite skills, competencies, abilities, talents, attitudes, and aptitudes, of course, the skills and the talents and our people in Trinidad and Tobago, the evidence of which sits before us now, can capture any jobs here in Trinidad and elsewhere in the Caribbean and worldwide. As a matter of fact, the energy sector is testimony to that. Many of our graduates, many of our skilled persons, our engineers, our technicians, our technologists can be found anywhere in the world in any of the oil and gas fields.
News 4 met with some of the participants in this year's fair who praised the idea of opening up the school for the chance at meeting some of the students.
Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, I want to thank them for this initiative. Right, as I said before, it's a good initiative. It would give the youths an opportunity, to showcase their skills with various employers. It's an opportunity for Toyota to come here to work with some of the top automotive graduates and give them that opportunity to come into the automobile industry and work for one of the leading competitors in the industry.
Quite pleased at what we're seeing in terms of enthusiasm and curiosity about not just skill requirements, but also what what lies in wait for many of the graduates coming out? What is a direct path ahead so that they can fulfill the potential of their academics and technical skills trainings?
This has been an excellent exercise. It's very reassuring, the quality of young Trinidad and Tobagonians here. It's brilliant. I really think we're very well positioned to really grow our business and, by extension, the whole country. This is a great feeding ground for development of the nation.
Kimberam Calawan, News 4.
News 4 continues right after the break. Stay with us. Trinidad and Tobago has continued their unbeaten run at the CONCACAF Girls Under-15 Championship taking place in the Cayman Islands. A convincing 4-0 quarter-final win over Bahamas on Wednesday night has ensured the Soca Princesses a semi-final spot in the competition. After topping their opening group with 7 points, TNT got off to a good start and took the lead after 17 minutes through midfielder Alexis Fortune. Twin City National midfielder Adania Phillips scored on either side of the halftime whistle, her first goal coming 5 minutes before the whistle, and then sent TNT 3-0 ahead 5 minutes into the second half. US-based midfielder Raina Campbell then completed the rout with another goal in the 52nd minute. Trinidad and Tobago will face Canada in the semi-finals on Friday from 6:30 p.m. Trinidad and Tobago's head coach Rajesh Lachu is giving credit to his players for their performance so far, but warns them to curb their enthusiasm and focus on the tough match ahead. Speaking to TTFA Media, Lachu says the players have responded well so far. They have followed instructions and their approach to the games have been commendable. We are well aware that the next assignment will be our toughest of the tournament so far, but we'll take on the challenge of facing a strong team like Canada. This will be a really good experience for our team because Canada is one of the powerhouses in world football, and I expect the game itself to be a challenging but competitive one. End quote. Now, if the Soca Princesses get past Canada, they will face either Haiti or Honduras in the finals. More news after this. A state-of-the-art health facility, that's how Dr. the Honorable Fuad Khan, Minister of Health, describes the health center earmarked for the Carenage area. According to him, the long-overdue community health center will be outfitted with the best and most modern amenities.
When we looked at the plans of the Digo Martin, of the Carenage Health Center, we realized that it was just a basic health center. The basic health center was simple, with small rooms and for antenatal care, chronic disease to some extent. Not much else except what is being done at present. However, knowing this area as well as I do, and you might know that I tend to have a large cardiovascular fat down on the side, I realized that if anything occurred in this part of the island, the Western Peninsula, we'd be in a problem.
The Honourable Minister of Health says before rethinking the entire plan for the health facility at Carenage, there were some teeth and problems with relocation of the family who occupy the land earmarked for the health centre. But after this was worked out, it was smooth sailing. Minister Khan noted as key the growing population in the Carenage area, hence the need for a more up-to-the-time health facility.
So I decided to go back to the drawing board and put something here, not only as a health centre, but something that will also be developed for what we call investigative care, as well as emergency care, rehabilitative care, and a short stay. And in doing that, we came across with a concept. We changed the designer brief, the user brief, to develop the concept of, as Mr. Vera said, digital x-rays, rooms for stabilization, emergency rooms, as well as the other parts of the pharmacies, etc. We also went about looking at rooms for specialized services where we could, like cataracts after surgery, post-surgical care in the community for the people of Carenage.
The minister also disclosed that the facility will be equipped with a wellness center where people who are not sick can get their blood pressure and diabetes checked.
In every single health center that is going to be built, or those that are there, and we could place something in, we are going to put something called a wellness area. Wellness area means you can come into that health center to check yourself. You don't have to come just because you're sick. So that wellness area is going to be for people just walking off, to check your blood pressure, to check your sugar levels, your diabetic levels, you check also your weight, your fat analysis. and they'll have dietary provisions to make sure that you eat well, and that is what we're looking at.
The proposed site for the health centre is at Constabulary Street, Carnage, the same street as the St. Peter's Roman Catholic Church. Minister Khan says the health centre will be completed by December 2015. He said there are also plans to build a military hospital and introduce a sea ambulance service in the Chaguaramas area. Felicia Wilson-Moore, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. You can view a repeat of our newscast weekdays at 6 a.m. and feel free to visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/RTV4. And you can visit our YouTube channel, youtube.com/THEGISLTD. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you so much for joining us.